morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to take a look at the problems that are being caused by those new Mega Battle decks. You see, ladies and gentlemen, they're out. And they're really good. We've got one featuring Gengar, we got one featuring Diancie, and they're available on PTCG Live. And this is not a very good thing. It's kind of ruining PTCG Live right now. Let me explain what's going on. Now, essentially, except for the illustration rares, which we do now know are going to be exclusive to the decks. That is, your Haunter and your Meloetta, beautiful cards incidentally, they're exclusive, that's lovely. Except for them, these are just cards from Phantasmal Flames. The Gengar is from Phantasmal Flames, the Diancie is from Phantasmal Flames. They've got the Phantasmal Flames set number on and all of that. They are literally taken from those sets and plonked into these decks. And this is a good thing, incidentally. We like this, because it makes them more available. Now, as a side note, and this is something we can talk about more another time, the Gengar deck people are going absolutely crazy for. Certainly, I went into a shop at the weekend, on Friday, when these came out, and Diancie, I could get one of those. There were no Gengar on the shelf, and the person in front of me in the queue asked if they had any. And the response was, they lasted seconds. People were waiting. And I got to the shop like 40 minutes after it opened. I was not after a Gengar deck. We're fine. I can wait. But the point I'm making here is that these are just cards taken from Phantasmal Flames. The thing is, Phantasmal Flames isn't out yet. Now, when we get literally to the weekend, we're actually into pre-releases for Phantasmal Flames this weekend, and it's only been a few weeks since Mega Evolution came out. The time between sets is very low this time round, especially if you're in places like the UK, where Mega Evolution got delayed. But the point is, the set is starting pre-releases this weekend. The set is out on the 14th. But if the set is out on the 14th, that's roughly when we're going to see it added to Pokémon TCG Live, the official online client, the place where you go to play the game. Okay. The thing is, the decks are there now. The Diancie and Gengar decks are live on PTCG Live right now. And this creates a little bit of an issue. Couple of issues, in fact. Because essentially what we end up with is an unrepresentative format. So let's take next weekend. Next weekend, we have got a Pokemon Regional Championship in Gdansk, over in Poland. I unfortunately will not be there. That makes me a little bit sad. But a bunch of people will be there, and it will be a great tournament. But that is on the 1st and 2nd of November, so obviously Phantasmal Flames isn't legal for that event. You cannot play cards from Phantasmal Flames in that event, and it's worth pointing out, you cannot play cards from the Gengar and Diancie decks in that event, because they are cards from Phantasmal Flames, and they have the legality of the set Phantasmal Flames. So you cannot play the Gengar and the Diancie decks in the tournament. In Gdansk, you cannot play them, you're not allowed. But you can test them on Pokemon TCG Live. Not only can you test them on PTCG Live, but there's no option to play a format without them. That's not an ideal situation. Now, Pokemon have suggested playing with friends, doing friend battles, and there you can agree which cards to use and not to use. And yes, to be clear, and to be fair, that will be an option. But that's going to work for some people. That is not going to work for everybody. So now you go to try and test for Gdansk Regionals, and all of a sudden you're playing against these decks, playing cards that aren't going to be legal for Gdansk. You end up with a deck you're playing against. It's a bad matchup. But you're never going to face it in Gdansk, so why would you prepare for it? And essentially, it's ruining testing. And look, I know that Gengar isn't the best card out there. I'm sorry if that's ruining anybody's plans. We've seen this over in Japan. Mega Gengar's got just an incredibly enticing ability, Shadowy Concealment. If one of your Darkness Pokemon is knocked out by damage when attacked from your opponent's Pokemon EX, they take one fewer prize card and it doesn't stack. But the reality is Mega Gengar is just not seeing a lot of play right now. And in the deck as well as Gengar, we do actually have a copy of Grimsley's Move, which is one of the cards we are expecting to make cards like this better, because Grimsley's Move will allow you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and just bench a Darkness Pokemon you find there. Nobody cares if it's basic or not. So in theory, this makes it better, but no, it's not seeing a huge amount of play. The problem is, you can be testing for Gdansk now, you go online, you go on to PTCG Live, you play against a deck, not only have they got Gengar, but they've got Grimsley's Move. That's a bit of an issue. Maybe the biggest issue, however, is that Mega Battle deck's got Toxtricity in. Now, I'm going to have to show you the pre-release version of Toxtricity because we don't have a nice clear scan of the regular version, but it's going to be fine. You'll get over it. It's going to be okay. But the point I'm making here is Toxtricity is now legal on PTCG Live if you've been playing the Gengar deck. And Toxtricity is basically broken. Because what we've got is an ability, Sinister Surge, that once during your turn lets you search your deck for a basic Darkness energy, attach it to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon, and if you attach the energy to a Pokemon in this way, place 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Sounds kinda similar to Gardevoir, except you're attaching from the deck rather than the discard, but you're still accelerating energy and dealing damage. And just like with Gardevoir, your best friend here is going to be Munkidori. I've told you this a few times. Essentially, Munkidori, you need to attach a Darkness energy, but you're using abilities with Toxtricity to accelerate energy, so you can absolutely use your attachment for the turn to go on to Munkidori, and then the damage that goes on from Toxtricity, you move over, and oh, we're good. And now something like Absol, for instance, becomes a way better Pokemon, arguably, because now you can accelerate energy and you can double Munkidori to put 6 damage counters on an opponent's Pokemon, and then Absol gets the KO. You don't have to hope your opponent hits you but doesn't one-hit you, so there's a bunch of damage that you can move over with Munkidori. No! You can literally just do the damage yourself and then move it over with Munkidori, getting ready for Mega Absol. Lovely. And this is all stuff you can do on PTCG Live right now, but you will not be able to do when you get to Gdansk, that next regional championships. It's not there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're living in North America, you might be sitting there going, well, hang on a second, Wassy. I'm not going to Gdansk. I'm not in Europe. Shut up. How about Las Vegas? Las Vegas is happening on the 14th to 16th of November. Now, that is when Phantasmal Flames is out. Comes out on the 14th of November. But remember, we have that whole 2 weeks before it becomes legal malarkey. So even though Phantasmal Flames will be out in Las Vegas, you'll be able to go to stores in Vegas and buy it. It's not going to be legal for tournament play. So again, your preparation for Vegas is going to be massively disrupted. And people test on PTCG Live. Yes, I know that a lot of the top players have a testing group and they do lots of testing, etc. But I'm telling you, those top players also sit there in the evenings and just play a few games of Pokemon TCG Live. And now their testing is massively disrupted. Now, the Gengar deck is the biggest issue, but the Mega Diancie deck is not without problems. One of the main issues here is actually Mega Diancie, because Mega Diancie is like a legitimately good aggro Pokemon. 270 HP, takes 30 less from attacks, and you can discard up to 2 energy from this Pokemon and do 120 for each card discarded in this way. And yeah, this absolutely does get played in Gardevoir decks. So now the Gardevoir decks you play against on PTCG Live are going to be a little bit different than the Gardevoir decks that you play against when you go to tournaments. And that's not an ideal scenario. Also, Wondrous Patches in that deck lets you accelerate Psychic energy, makes Psychic decks better, and gives rise to Psychic decks the likes of which you cannot use in a tournament. Do you see where I'm going with this? Right now, we have an awkward situation where the format people are playing in PTCG Live does not match the format we're playing in tournaments, because we've got these Diancie and Gengar decks that are legal to play online but aren't legal in tournaments, and that is basically ruining testing over on PTCG Live. And sure, it's not going to be a problem for that long, but we have a regional in Gdansk in Europe, we have a regional in Vegas in North America. By the time we get to the regionals after those, it's going to be fine. Stuttgart, we're going to have Phantasmal Flames legal. It's going to be lovely. We're not there yet, ladies and gentlemen. We got Gdansk to worry about first, and that's a little bit of an issue. But I've told you about all of this now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me if this is something that's been impacting your testing. Tell me if you think the worries are overblown. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Diancie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Nick Gleason, who's been a supporter of ours for a little while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.